Hey everyone, it's enough to know Barfield here. Welcome to Writer's Corner. Hey, would you look at me wearing light colors? I'm a friggin' ray of sunshine. Now, as you probably inferred from the title, this video is going to be about self-editing. It comes as a request and marks my return to actual writing videos. Well, I mean, technically editing, but it still counts. Why is self-editing even important, though? Well, as I've been writing more of Legendland Tale of the Nameless God, I've continued to discover more and more the importance of self-editing. It saves my beta readers some time, and it also helps me level up a skill! Sorry, I've been reading The Gamer a lot, so now I'm thinking of everything in terms of skills and stats and levels. I'm just gonna nerd out this whole video. A major reason why self-editing is important for the whole writing process is because it allows you to develop a more critical eye of your own work. This means you notice things quicker and easier, and it also allows for faster on-the-fly changes. This also makes it easier on editors whenever you're signed on with a publishing company, and in turn makes you more valuable because you're more useful. Though whenever I say it out loud, it sounds a little more cold than it means it to. There are, in my opinion, two basic kinds of self-editing. There is bulk editing, where you write a chapter and you finish it, and afterwards you go back through and you edit the whole thing. There's also freeform editing, where you are editing and writing at the same time, meaning you're changing and fixing things as they come up during your writing. With bulk editing, you keep writing and editing separate, meaning you have more time to do each of them. This commonly takes longer, but allows you to focus more on each task, giving you your full brain power to work on everything that you need. In my opinion, freeform editing is a quicker process, but your brain is divided in half. Well, I mean, it's already divided in half, but like your brain power is split between editing and writing at the same time. This can oftentimes make writing go slower, but this isn't always necessarily a bad thing because I have a lot of typos whenever I write fast, so slowing down to edit sometimes is actually really helpful. My recommendation, however, is to do bulk editing initially. Focus on the task at hand, i.e. writing, and once you get finished with that, then you go through and you edit the whole thing. This allows you to become more familiar with the editing process, which can be dull and terrible if you're not good at it, so it allows you to get a little more experience in that, and it also will make freeform editing easier, so you're not screaming at your screen trying to figure out why your writing is going so slow, while you're simultaneously making changes that you don't even know fully how to make. So, bulk editing first is probably my best recommendation. Also, bulk editing and freeform editing are words that I just made up to fit the two styles of what are, in my opinion, the major kinds of self-editing. If you have actual official names for these, please let me know. Did you think I was gonna let you walk away here without any tips? What kind of YouTuber would I be? Probably more entertaining one. But I digress. Entertainment out the window, onward to tips! On your first pass, just pay attention to formatting and sentence structure, making it look pretty. Evaluate your punctuation and see, does that comma really need to be a comma, or could it be a period instead? It can probably be a period, just as a guess. After that, you're going to focus on your wording and phrasing, specifically dialogue, removing wooden parts of speech, awkward phrasing. You're probably going to cut down on your use of adverbs here, because adverbs are great and they say exactly what you need them to say, but too many of them and it comes across as a bit simplistic. You're probably going to replace long descriptions or long conversations here with more snappy adjectives that are going to let you get the point across. And you're also probably going to come up with a lot of creative ways to basically say the same thing over and over again. A thesaurus might be pretty helpful here. Or, you know, if you're feeling really angry, a hammer for your laptop. Now, if you finally have OCD'd your dialogue down to the best, most efficient use possible, and you didn't delete your entire story and remove your word processor from your computer, you're probably going to start working on your action scenes and your descriptive, long explanation scenes here. A good rule of thumb is, can I use less words? Can you? Can you? Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, especially if you're wanting to paint these big, large scenes and you're wanting to really impress your reader with how verbose you can be, then I guess if you want to show off, go ahead, but you probably shouldn't do this a lot. Well, I mean, not like every time. One thing I have trouble with in action scenes is making them easy for the reader to follow. I like a bullet point, like step-by-step action scene sometimes, because then I can really picture it in my head like a movie. However, some helpful tips that I've gotten from beta readers, and also from my own personal experience, is to let your reader fill in the blanks a lot. If you're writing this action scene and it's gone on for a really long time, and it's not a gigantic battle or a really important fight scene, or maybe it's the whole thing in a chapter and it's really important, But if it's not any of those, and it's just like this quick scuffle, you might want to let your reader fill in the blanks. Cut down on your description here. Remember, less is commonly more in your action scenes because you can use those adjectives that really pop to give your reader the idea rather than explaining every single thing. I mean, unless you're Tolkien or somebody. Now, the recommendations I've been making so far are related to detailed editing, where you're in the trenches of the editing wars, facing commas and periods with your comrades. This is where after every chapter, you edit it, rinsing and repeating throughout the whole story, taking a very close look at your story. Now, whenever you're doing top-level editing, taking a look at plots, subplots, character arcs, development, as a whole, this is a completely different story. During top-level editing, where you're taking a look at major sections, or you're taking a look at the book as a whole, it's helpful to look at character arcs and development. It may even be helpful for you to draw them out. This is difficult for me because I am really bad at art, but it may be helpful for you. Examine your character arcs. Are they flat? Do they fluctuate at all? Are your characters basically the same people at the end of the book as they were at the beginning? Really take a look at these as a whole throughout the book, see how your characters change. If they resemble basically the exact same thing, you may either want to cut the character or change specific parts of their arc. Like I said, it may be helpful for you to draw them. That's definitely not for me. You'll also want to look at plots and subplots. Again, it may be helpful for you to draw them. Ask yourself, what does this subplot do for the story? Really, what does it do for me? Is it character specific? Can that character be brutally murdered and then you can remove the subplot because it's unnecessary? How many times does your plot build up? How long do they last? Are each one of those necessary, or are you just creating hype for the sake of creating hype? These are the questions that should haunt you. Now, I would not say that editing is completely useless without making sure you develop a critical eye for things, but it's useless without developing a critical eye for things. Now, I have a few last tips for you before you go on how to develop your critical eye. This is going to be great because you're going to see your story in insane detail and be able to evaluate and dissect it. This is also a bad thing for the above reasons. Now, you're going to want to take it slow while you edit. Editing and writing for me are like fire and ice. My writing is very explosive and creative. It happens in bursts. There's a lot of energy there. I'm basically typing and I don't even know what I'm typing sometimes, but I just know it's probably going to be awesome. And then I go back through whenever I edit, and I'm self-editing, and I'm taking my time, and I'm going through it. Another thing that will probably help you is to find other people's stories online. Use something like Wattpad, or even fanfiction.net.com. I don't know, one of those fanfiction sites. If you're desperate, you can browse Tumblr for stories. I don't recommend that. But take a look at other people's writing and evaluate it and mentally edit yourself. You'll notice that they don't use the same word order or descriptions or dialogue, phrasing, or adjectives or anything that you do. And this is how other people are going to feel whenever they read your story. Does it make sense, or is the phrasing a bit awkward? I can guarantee you it probably isn't awkward to the person who wrote it. Though having a beta reader or two of your own is not a bad idea. And finally, remember your story isn't perfect. It's going to take time and it's going to take patience. Nothing teaches better than experience. But nobody's story is perfect. While you're editing, find one thing that you did well in this chapter. Maybe you wrote a great fight scene. Maybe your dialogue stood out. Maybe you really carried the plot forward in the best way possible that you could have given the circumstances. Now find one thing that you didn't do well. You know what it is. Part of self-editing is self-monitoring and setting goals for yourself so as you work forward in the future, editing becomes less and less necessary. You can get my novel, Legendland, fantastic piece of literature as you know, on a plethora of places. Find it on Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, my publisher's website, and my website, www.arc-storm.com. I'll personally sign it for you. Probably not with my tears though, unless it's been a long day. So I hope you like this return to me producing actual writing videos, that you found these tips helpful, and that you continue to enjoy. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stalk me online at Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, and YouTube obviously. Please subscribe and comment below. Now if you're wanting the whole Legendland package, check out Legendland Tale of the Nameless God on Wattpad, updated every Friday. Watch some of my other videos, you might see something you enjoy, and I hope to see you next week.